Fox News had a discussion about the high school girl who was tossed across the room by an officer, and their bias is so immensely apparent here that this clip is basically a study in bias.
Let's not be ridiculous. People need to actually be responsible for their own actions. And if you look at that video, do you notice that none of the other students get out of their desk? You don't hear anything. You don't hear any screaming. You don't hear them say stop or anything else. You kind of wonder if the students weren't on the side of the deputy, that she was that disruptive, that obnoxious, that they didn't have any problem with what was going on. And the other thing you said, Sean, the altercation doesn't look good, but those desks, she was probably flailing about, and once she threw herself backwards, the officer is now in a position where he's got to get her out of that desk and get her in handcuffs because the situation is escalated by her choice.
Yeah, in other words, her rhetoric, her talking back, etc.
But there was another student who stood up and was arrested.
But the media never talks about what leads up to this, the whole story. You know what I'm saying?
I understand completely, and we talked about this over the summer, the incident in Texas at the pool party, where we did talk about the entire story. I think the fundamental issue here is about restoring civility in society. I understand the concerns of Black Lives Matter, of Blue Lives Matter, of All Lives Matter. I don't think that we're going to have a conversation that we're going to come together until incidents like this stop happening. And
Who precipitated it?
She did, absolutely.
Who was non-compliant?
She was not. But that doesn't mean that if the officer used excessive force, that justifies it. Adults are supposed to lead by example.
It wasn't excessive.
And we'll find, you don't know if it was excessive yet. The investigation, we haven't seen the results of the investigation, and the sheriff himself asked for
Mark,
I'll tell you why it's not excessive. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not excessive. He verbalized, he made contact, he verbalized, he was polite. He requested her. He verbally did that. The next level is he put a hand on her. She escalated it from there. He used soft control.
That looks like soft control to you? That looks like soft control to you. He said she escalated it. She escalated it. Yeah, by using her words, she escalated it. Why is what he did not a clear escalation? And Fuhrman said that he was polite. On what planet is that polite? Now understand, that guy who was just talking at the end there, this is a Fox News expert. It's Mark Fuhrman. You remember Mark Fuhrman? He was in the OJ case, and we learned that he is a raging racist. Now, putting aside whether or not OJ was innocent or guilty, because that's a separate conversation, and we could have a long discussion on that, Mark Fuhrman was caught on tape saying the word nigger at least 40 times. Fox News is like, that's our expert. He's going to be an objective guy to talk about criminal justice issues and policing and racial situations. Here you have a white officer, huge, a grown man, and a high school girl who's black, and here's this objective source who loves to throw around the N-word like it's nothing, saying, black girl's fault. Oh, well, excuse me if I don't exactly believe your opinion on this. And I love how he frames it like his opinion is a fact. This is not excessive force. It's not excessive force. That's your opinion. And your opinion is weak as fuck. Your argument was he was polite. He used, what do you say, soft power? Something like that? That's mind-numbingly silly. And it oozes, the segment oozes of bias. Look at what Hannity said. He said the media never talks about what leads up to this. No, but they did. Everybody's been talking about it. And let's keep it in perspective. In what circumstance is that kind of force okay? I would say if she threatened direct violence against him, or if she pulled out some sort of weapon and was going to use it against him. That's not what happened. Now, they go on to say, well, she threw the first punch. I'm not kidding. Some people are actually arguing that. No, but guys, we have eyes. We can see. That's just not what happened. That's in no way, shape, or form did that happen. So, what are we left with here? We're left with people who are saying, believe me over your lying eyes. Sean Hannity said the media never talks about what leads up to this. So, in other words, are you saying that this is okay, Sean? Is this okay with you? And look at the overall Fox News hypocrisy. Remember when Cliven Bundy was on the ranch refusing to pay his taxes? He owes over $1 million to the government, and he's a freeloader, and he's a moocher. So federal agents showed up. What happened then? You had Bundy and his right-wing pricks start pointing guns at federal agents. And what do these guys say then? They're like, oh yeah, good Americans standing up for their rights, not going to be pushed around by law enforcement. That's what a good American does. Now look at the situation here and flip it with the entire Black Lives Matter movement. What does Hannity argue now? Oh my God, I can't believe that these guys aren't listening to law enforcement. You gotta have respect in this country. You gotta understand the legitimate authority. You can't be rabble-rousers like this. You can't question the system all the time. So look at the two different cases. It shows you perfectly just how biased they are when it's right-wing old white people who are standing up against law enforcement. They love it when it's young black people who are doing it, even when it's a benign case of a young black girl who's saying, I'm not going to get off my phone, number one, or get up from my chair, number two. And that's not, like, I'm not in favor of that, right? But that's not an appropriate response to that. That's what the obvious, reply is. You can't just fucking body slam somebody, throw them across the room. It's a young girl, and you're a gigantic grown man. And then finally, I'll leave you with this. Made up, he goes, students might be on the cop side. Actually, we know, some of the students have spoken about this. They say they're terrified of that guy, and he's crazy. And he's had 2 other instances of allegations of excessive force against him. And when Fuhrman says, people need to be responsible for their own actions, that's so perfect. Because again, it shows you this incredible right-wing bias. People need to be responsible for their own actions, but he's only saying that in response to the girl who didn't get off her phone or get up. He doesn't say that about the cop. He's justifying every single thing he did there. So he doesn't need to be responsible for his actions. No. He gets a pass. Oh, the reason he did it is, oh my God, his hangnail was hanging off and he was trying to be nice and he used soft control and he was polite. Every excuse in the book for him, for her, you need to follow orders. You need to be responsible for your own actions. No rules for the cops, rules for everybody else. That's how Mark Fuhrman thinks. No rules for me and my Republican old white men buddies, rules for everybody else. This is why you always lose in the realm of ideas, guys, because your ideas suck.